Hi there, everybody, and welcome to AOP Introducing, where we get the chance to shine a light on growing companies and help procurement teams 10x their impact. Now, in just 20 minutes, we dig into each organisation's origin story and discover how they solve unique challenges before providing insight into how you can take action. Now, AOP Introducing is the only format that we create here at Art of Procurement that focuses specifically on a company's product. And today we're introducing Calculum. Calculum is a science-driven AI-powered supply chain analytics platform that helps companies to unlock working capital and generate billions in free cash flow. Now, headquartered in Miami, Calculum's ADA platform allows finance and procurement teams to analyse their suppliers' payment terms and financials, ESG scores, and conduct all the necessary arguments to negotiate more favourable terms. Calculum provides financial supply chain solutions to companies of all sizes, including banks, private equity institutions, and their corporate clients globally. And to tell us more about Calculum, I'm pleased to welcome Oliver Belin. Oliver is a supply chain finance specialist turned CEO and founder of Calculum. Oliver's goal is to reinvent the way companies analyse, manage and negotiate better payment terms. So welcome to AOP Introducing, Oliver.
Yes, thank you, Helen, and thank you to be part of today's session. Super
Brilliant.
excited.
Okay, so let's get going and ask that AOP question. So did you find procurement or did procurement find you?
A good question, actually, because we introduced a new solution for procurement. So it's actually that we have to find procurement because they've never seen something like that before. And it's why it's great to have the opportunity today to present it to your audience.
Okay, so you went off in the voyage of discovery to find procurement. That's really interesting. So tell us more. Tell us, what does Calculum do?
Yeah, it's very simple to explain. We help organizations, so we help procurement to analyze their payment terms, optimize them, and also help them to negotiate better payment terms with their suppliers. So when it comes to procurement, correct, to make it simple, when they negotiate with their suppliers, they always speak about the volume they're purchasing, the pricing, the quality of the goods and services. And the last one is, when shall they pay the invoices? And when you look at the last question about the length of payment terms, there's really no solution in place which provides them insights on what should be the payment terms with each single suppliers, and also how to negotiate better terms. And when you look at today, with the increasing interest rates in the market, so financing cash flow, financing working capital is getting more and more expensive. So it's why today having a solution in place which helps you optimize payment terms and generate free cash flow is key for large organizations.
Okay, and so you've touched on it a little bit there, but what was the inspiration to start the company then? Did you see a gap in the market? Are there other products out there like this, or did you think that there was a real opportunity to make a difference?
Yeah, so first we come from the financing side, so the supply chain finance side, and as the word says, when you're from the financing side, you need to look for external financing, mainly banks. And there you always see the kind of limitations, because there's always limitations in terms of what jurisdictions, what currencies, the risk, where these financial institutions are offering liquidity. And then we saw a big opportunity where leveraging data, leveraging AI to really empower procurement to make a difference when it comes to generating liquidity and unlocking working capital for their organizations. And we saw that today there's a lot of solutions which help procurement on the cost side, on the selection of suppliers. But again, when it comes to payment terms, there's really no data provider out there. The only ones which we see, which are kind of similar, are the large consultancy organizations, but they're typically are engaged in a project basis, and for very limited number of suppliers, while we are purely focusing on data, transparency, and analyzing all their supplier base of any kind of company.
Okay, so there's a few points of differentiation there. So in terms of product then, you know, where is the difference between you and the competition out there? What do you see as the real differentiation? Is it that data, or is there more that you've built on top of that really stand you out in the marketplace?
Yeah, it's I would say it's twofold. So one, obviously, is data. So if you look today, the data on payment terms is available, but it's on every organization's ERP system, correct? So nobody, if you ask any kind of procurement executive, what are the payment terms with the suppliers, why he's applying these payment terms, or why she's applying these payment terms, they don't know what these suppliers are offering to their competitors, correct? So we built the first database, which we analyze over $3 trillion of spend globally for suppliers all over the world, mainly from exporting countries, as you can imagine. And the data is fully anonymized, but it finds, based on the correct characteristics of each single supplier, what should be the right terms in comparison to other very similar companies or identical organizations. And that, I think, it's something unique in the market. It's the first platform, the first database which offers that. The other key differentiation we see, it's because it's not only about data, it's also about the collaboration when it comes to payment terms and working capital. Usually, so far, it was always a focus of treasury and finance, where they have a goal to optimize or to generate free cash flow. But then when it comes to discussions about payment terms with the supplier, it's procurement which is in charge, correct? And we saw that there's a lack of communication and collaboration. So the platform allows for procurement and treasury and finance to work together, be aligned, creating a plan, manage the outreach to the supplier and negotiation of payment terms.
Okay, that sounds some really interesting and fantastic functionality on the platform. So let's bring this to life then. Can you share an example or some examples of how your clients are using Calculum today?
Yeah, I mean, we work with very large organizations, but we can start with companies as small as, say, 100 million in revenue in terms of size. But I can give you an example, a recent company in the food and beverage industry, where we analyzed 24,000 suppliers for about 2 billion annual euros in spend. And they uploaded their spend file with all their suppliers, and the platform identified roughly about 175 million euros of cash flow opportunity. So that's meaning looking at what this food and beverage company is offering in terms of payment terms to the supplier, and comparing that with their competitors and what the supplier is offering to other customers, correct? And then the platform is also then looking at what is the likelihood that these suppliers will say yes. Obviously, not every supplier would be accepting that. So the likelihood was 95 million euros in cash flow. We worked together with the client and the procurement team to set up a plan with different phases to first go after the low-hanging fruits, where we know that there's the biggest impact on the buyer in terms of cash flow and the biggest likelihood that the supplier will say yes. And we identified there about 18 million to be achieved in the next 12 months, which is quite remarkable. And just the last 2 months, so we just recently started, the last 2 months, the company alone, the procurement team achieved 750,000 euros just in 2 months. And taking into account that the first month obviously was used for training, onboarding the team. And so this is a good start and a good example of really being able to unlock working capital by using data to be successful in your negotiation.
Yep, and you'll definitely be the CFO's friends with that sort of
Yes,
cash flow saving.
yes.
And have you found that that's you've been able to replicate that for? So you spoke about quite a big, amount of spend, the 24,000 suppliers. Scaling that back slightly, is that something that you've seen work for a slightly smaller company with a slightly less number of suppliers? Is that what you've seen, that it's a model that works regardless of the numbers and regardless of the volumes?
Yeah, very good question. So actually 24,000, it's actually medium to small amount of suppliers. We recently analyzed 175,000 suppliers for a client.
Wow.
So, and we do that for indirect and direct spend. But across the board, which is interesting now since several years, while we are doing that for many companies in different industries, it's always about 10% of working capital, free cash flow, which can be optimized for every dollar spent analyzed. So let's say you upload 100 million of spend, the platform identifies about 10 million free cash flow to optimize. And to your question, we typically work with larger organizations, but we have a strong interest to go down the market and also offer the same intelligence to smaller organizations. But it always depends on the individual company. But if the buyer and the procurement team has less leverage, correct, with their suppliers, then obviously the success rate can be a little bit smaller. But I would say 100 million, it's kind of the limit to get started.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really helpful, and I think that's brought us nicely on to my next question, which is about how people can get started with you, because they'll have heard all those great results from using Calculum and they'll be thinking, this sounds like something that we could really use, and it would be of benefit to us. So how does somebody get started? Do they do a pilot with you? Do you do scoping? How does somebody get working with you?
So first, having a look at the demo is, I think, something important, because it's a very visual platform. It really opens the eyes on all the details, what the platform finds on the suppliers. So for example, it tells you, hey, all these suppliers, do you know that they belong to the same parent? But you already paid them today at different terms. It provides, as I mentioned before, the credit rating and scoring of each single supplier, which then also tells you what is the cost of debt or the cost of financing of each single supplier, and many other information, which gives you insights on each single supplier. But the good news, to answer your question about how to get started, so it doesn't involve IT. So there is no ERP integration or big IT project required. Typically, how we work is, obviously we sign a mutual NDA. Then we share with the prospect or the client an Excel spreadsheet, which has examples and which includes the data points we need. To get started, the platform only needs 6 data points. So we only need to know who is the buying entity, the name of the supplier, the address of the supplier, the volume you're purchasing from the supplier, usually for a period of 12 months, the currency, and the actual payment terms. That's it. And then we give you a secured link. You upload the data is encrypted, and then the platform does the rest. And then usually, depending on the amount of suppliers, you can send 1,000, 10,000, whatever. We then sit together through a similar video call as we have today, and you see the results of your data. And then you can see is there an opportunity? Is that really this 10% at least cash flow opportunity which the platform has identified? And you can see some examples of suppliers with a different argumentation you can use to negotiate these payment terms. And this is free of charge to get started, to have a first picture. And then some clients, when they see the results, they want to move directly to a subscription model, which is usually 1 year, where their team has access to all these suppliers, and they can use it in their daily negotiations,
Mm-hmm.
and also for potential new suppliers. Or sometimes they want to start with a pilot, which is usually 1 or 2 months, where they can get familiar with the platform, with their data.
Brilliant. So it sounds like it's a really straightforward process to get started with you. So, okay. So where can people find out more then, in terms of, they've heard this, the demo's great, they can upload the data and get some proof of concept. So how can they find out more? What's the best way to find out more? I'm putting up below us the URL for yourselves.
Perfect.
What about so is the website, but also what else can they do to connect with you?
I mean, I think the best way is through the website. They go to the contact page, they send us a message, and then we have teams in Europe, in Asia, and in US, also covering the Americas. And based on from where the interest comes, we have a dedicated team that will answer any question, and hopefully can do a pilot. We also have some great case studies and reports on the website. And also we have very important, a working capital calculator, where I think for about 50,000 companies, we have the data where you can search for your company if it's a larger organization, and you can see already where you stand versus your peers when it comes to working capital metrics, which gives you a first insight about you in the market.
Excellent. Okay, so lots of resources on that website. There's a link to that in the video here, and also on the page on the AOP website that the video is hosted on. So click on that link and connect with Oliver and the team and find out more. So all that remains for me to do now is to thank you, Oliver, for the opportunity to learn more about your backstory
and thank you, Helen.
Calculum's value proposition. And thank everybody for joining us and watching the video and finding out more. Thanks very much. And
thank you very much.